He may not have had the greatest of days yesterday, but Toyota Imperial's Janil de Villiers remains one of the men to beat in South America. De Villiers came 27th in Stage 1, but according to defending champion Stefan Pederhansel, the Toyota Imperial driver is still a contender to capture his second Dakar.
Last year he was really fast. Each year he do a step. 2 years ago he was third, last year second. Why? For me he's one of the main rivals, for sure.
Pederhansel has won the Dakar Rally 11 times. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, San Luis. Stage 2 of the Dakar Rally is currently underway, but Nasser Al-Attiyah believes the entire event is a straight shootout between three men in the car category. Al-Attiyah won the race in 2011, 2 years after Janil de Villiers' debut victory, and the Qatari reckons his toughest challenge will come from the South African, as well as the defending champion, Stefan Pederhansel from Mini.
I think, Stefan and Janil. Okay, maybe the Mini a little bit stronger in the engine from Toyota. But okay, Janil, he's a good driver, and it will be, I think, between the three us.
Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, San Luis. After finishing the first stage in 27th place due to power steering failure, de Villiers and Imperial Toyota co-driver Dirk van Zitzewitz fared far better yesterday, crossing the line in third place, taking them to 6th overall, just over 17 minutes adrift of overall leader Stefan Pederhansel. The 2009 champion was understandably a far happier man.
I was surprised with the speed of Stefan, especially. I know where we lost a little bit, for sure in the dust a little bit, and then I think in the rough stuff in the dunes we lost a little bit, maybe with our suspension. But other than that, I'm quite happy with today.
Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie followed their 9th place finish with a 16th, taking them to 13th overall, but disaster struck fellow South Africans Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst, who rolled their Ranger towards the end of the stage. Visser was immediately airlifted to hospital. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, San Rafael. From 16 to 6, that's the amount of places Janil de Villiers made up during Stage 2 from San Luis to San Rafael. The Toyota Imperial driver finished the day in 3rd place, but admits that today's 3rd stage to San Juan will be extremely challenging.
It's a bit shorter, it's 301 k's, but I expect again quite technical, quite twisty. We don't have any dunes tomorrow, but I think quite a technical and twisty stage, so you'll have to be awake.
Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie are 16th overall, while fellow South Africans Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst are out of the race after rolling their vehicle towards the end of the stage. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, San Rafael. Competitors are on their way to the extremely hot town of San Juan in Argentina. For the first time, cars are able to use aircons, and Imperial Toyota driver Janil de Villiers is extremely grateful.
Yeah, look, it's a big help, eh? Last year we didn't have, and especially on a day like today where it's close to 40 degrees, it's really hot in the car, and especially when you're in the dunes crossing at low speed. If you have aircon, it helps a lot. So I'm thankful that they could put it in.
Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, San Rafael. There were high hopes for the two Hiluxes ahead of the 4th stage, but nothing really went right for the teams of Janil de Villiers and Dirk van Zitzewitz and Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie. Poulter finished stage 3 in 3rd place, but blew 2 rear dampers to come home in 59th position yesterday, taking him to 29 overall, while de Villiers is 6th overall after finishing the day in 7th place. The 2009 champ did it despite suffering power steering problems again.
Tried to fix it. There was a lot of oil coming out of the pump, but we couldn't really fix it, so we used all our oil that we had on board just to try and make it to the end. But we ran out of that, and then we had to try and look for spectators to give us some oil. Right? We sort of managed like that to the end, but we lost a huge amount of time again, and getting a bit much now.
Thomas Rundle is 20th in the standings, while Rian van Niekerk is the top-placed South African in the bikes in 22nd place. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Chilecito. Janil de Villiers and Dirk van Zitzewitz struggled once again with their power steering as they finished stage 4 in 6th place, putting them 7th overall. The problem was a major blow given that de Villiers was challenging the front runners early on.
we finished the first half, I think in third position, just like 2 minutes behind Nasser, and I started far back in the dust, and I was held up quite a bit by the 5 or 6 cars that I had to overtake. So that's why it's even more disappointing. We've got the pace, but we just can't. We haven't got the reliability in the steering at the moment.
Leroy Poult and Rob Howie blew 2 rear dampers as they dropped to 29 overall, while another South African, Thomas Rundle, is 20th. As for the bikes, Riaan van Niekerk is the top-placed South African in 22nd place. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Chilecito. Buenos Aires may be the gateway to Argentina, but it's Rosario that will have the honor of staging the start of the world's toughest race on Sunday. This year's event will take place over 14 days, where over 700 competitors will cover almost 9,500 kilometers before reaching the finish line in the Chilean city of Valparaiso. Cars, lorries, quads and bikes will all be in action, with the latter 2 categories also competing in a marathon stage in Bolivia, which becomes the 28th nation to be a part of the Dakar. 190 countries will be represented in the race, including 11 South Africans, the most recognizable being 2009 champion Janeel de Villiers. The 41-year-old will be driving alongside his longtime German navigator Dirk van Zittewitz, and the Toyota Imperial pair will be looking to go one better than their efforts from 2013, where they finished second in their Hilux. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Buenos Aires. He may be enjoying his well-earned rest, but Janeel de Villiers is still wary of the competition ahead of Stage 7. He and Dirk van Zittewitz are currently 4th in the standings, just under 41 minutes adrift of overall leader Nani Roma. And the Toyota Imperial driver reckons any of the top 5 are in with the chance of winning the race.
Maybe the other guys are a bit too far back, but for sure the top 5, any one of those can still has a chance. I mean, Nani has a big lead, but like we saw in the first week, I mean, 1-2 days the guys lose 20, 25, 30 minutes a day. It can happen. So we'll, like I said, we'll keep on pushing and keep on fighting.
Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Salta. The Toyota Imperial team of Janeel de Villiers and Dirk van Zittewitz will start tomorrow's 7th stage in 4th place, just over 40 minutes adrift of overall leader Nani Roma. The team enjoyed a trouble-free run yesterday, with de Villiers particularly impressed with the power steering.
No technical issues today. Power steering seems to be sorted thanks to the boys here in the bivouacs. They did a great job. He also had perfect brakes and everything was back to normal.
Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Salta. Many people say that once you cross the Andes, then the real Dakar has begun. The Toyota Imperial team of Janeel de Villiers and Dirk van Zittewitz finished the stage from Salta to Calama in Chile in 7th place, with Nasser Al-Attiyah quickest. The pair remained 3rd overall under 49 minutes adrift of leader Nani Roma, but they could have been even faster, as team principal Glenn Hall explains.
Janeel did a good job today, although he got held up behind one of the Russians in the Mini, and uncharacteristically Janeel had words with him in the end control, and Dirk. We've lodged a protest, a lot of money at the control. Janeel sentinelled him 30 times. After 3, you meant to pull over.
As for the bikes, Riaan van Niekerk is 13th overall. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Calama. The dunes and the famous Fesh sand are the new obstacles for the competitors who crossed the Andes before finishing in the Chilean city of Calama. The Toyota Imperial team of Janeel de Villiers and Dirk van Zittewitz finished in 7th place, but are 3rd overall, under 49 minutes adrift of leader Nani Roma. Today, the race heads to the seaside town of Iquique, and team principal Glenn Hall tells us what we can expect.
The first 80 k's is high altitude, where the diesel minis and the buggy has the advantage. That's no question about that. The engine performance high altitude, we're struggling, but that's what we've got. Then we go down to sea level, and Janeel's going to have to stick his neck out a little bit. Podium's the target, so he's got to push to keep it.
As for the bikes, Riaan van Niekerk is 13th overall. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Calama. The 9th stage of the race saw competitors travel over 400 kilometers from Calama to the seaside city of Iquique, finishing off with a famous 3-kilometer descent down the dunes. The Toyota Imperial pair ended 5th for the stage and 5th overall, and are now almost an hour adrift of leader Nani Roma. De Villiers admits it's been tough.
We lost a bit of time, or a lot of time actually, on Stefan today. Obviously, he was pushing a bit to try and catch an Annie. It just showed that we're still lacking a bit in the performance of our car, especially in the suspension side. But, having said that, it's only like 1.5 or 2 seconds a kilometre that we need to go faster. And over a long stage like this, it adds up to like 15, 16 minutes, which Stefan in the end beat us by because we had 2 punctures and he didn't have.
As for the bikes, Rian van Niekerk finished 17th on the day and is 13th overall, over 4 hours behind leader Mark Comer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Ikike. The stage proved to be another tough outing for the Toyota Imperial pair as competitors saw the ocean for the first time in the rally as they headed down a 3-kilometre descent to finish in the city of Ikike. They ended the stage in 5th place and are now 5th overall, almost an hour behind leader Nani Roma. But de Villiers still believes a podium place is possible.
I think we're 5 minutes off it. NASA is on a big charge. I mean, he also took 20 minutes on us today, so it's going to be difficult with him. If they make no mistakes, it's going to really be difficult. But we give it our best shot. Anything can happen. They can also hit a lot of punctures and stuff like that. So we give it our best shot.
As for the bikes, Rian van Niekerk finished 17th on the day and is 13th overall, over 4 hours behind leader Mark Comer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Ikike. The stage from Ikike to Antofagasta was yet another taxing one as competitors travelled over 600 k's through Chile. The Toyota Imperial pair finished the stage in 4th place, and de Villiers admits that the dunes had the beating of them.
I could not get up the first dunes. I saw the minis went up there. I had 3 tries at it and, couldn't get up there. So I had to stop and deflate, which, took us about 3 minutes to do. Towards the end of the dunes, I made a mistake myself and stalled the engine on top of a dune and we were stuck briefly for 5 minutes. And then we had to stop for a puncture.
They lie 4th overall, just under an hour and 15 minutes behind leader Nani Roma, while former champion Carlos Sainz fell out of the race after rolling his Red Bull buggy. As for the bikes, Rian van Niekerk is 12th overall, almost 4.5 hours behind leader Mark Comer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Antofagasta. The Toyota Imperial pair finished the 10th stage from Ikike to Antofagasta in 4th place and are now just under an hour and 15 minutes behind leader Nani Roma. One man not in the running is Carlos Sainz. The former champion rolled his Red Bull buggy, and while he emerged somewhat unscathed, de Villiers was concerned about his former teammate.
I was really worried when I heard about it because we're good friends and we've been in a team together, and I'm just glad to hear that they're okay. It just shows you how quickly an accident can happen, and it's one's just got to be very attentive and make sure you are as safe as possible every time. But main thing is that they're okay.
As for the bikes, Rian van Niekerk is 12th overall, almost 4.5 hours behind leader Mark Comer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, Antofagasta. The Toyota Imperial team put in an impressive performance on the very long stage between Antofagasta and El Salvador. They came home in 3rd place, but the stage was won by Mini driver Orlando Terranova, who climbed to 4th overall, meaning the Hilux drivers dropped to 5th, a little over an hour and 15 minutes behind leader Nani Roma. Von Zitzewitz says he was amazed they emerged in the top 3.
It was a tough one. A long day like expected, and quite difficult in parts, especially in the beginning. Well, we have had a lot of rocks and dust and ruts and jumping and hitting. In the middle we have had the dunes of Copiapo. They were quite nice actually. We expected more difficult crossings than they have chosen for us, so we came through quite well. And on the last part we have had some riverbeds again with rocks. 3 punctures today. One time we almost rolled the car. We got very lucky. One time we jumped onto a big rock and were catapulted, or you say in English, we jumped up into the air again, like 1-2 meters high. Amazing what the Hilux can take. It's really a tough car.
Rian van Niekerk remains the top South African amongst the bikers, over 4.5 hours adrift of leader Mark Comer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, El Salvador. The Toyota Imperial pair were very impressive in the 11th stage, which stretched over 600 kilometres, finishing in 3rd place. However, the win by Orlando Terranova meant the South African and the German fell out of the top 4, which is all occupied by Minis. As Von Zitzewitz explains, the Minis have already been ordered to keep their positions, meaning the Hilux team look to be the only competitors able to stop Nani Roma from winning.
So the race is still not over. There's another day to come and we have to finish it first, and even if Mini is playing now with team orders, it's still another day. So let's see what will happen.
Riaan van Niekerk remains the top South African amongst the bikers, over 4.5 hours adrift of leader Mark Homer. Derek Alberts, EWN Sport, El Salvador.